Welcome to the PaynePoints Podcast. We enjoy telling the stories of everyday people, whether that be small business owners, entrepreneurs, or people with a passion for their community. We want to highlight them and give them a platform to share their story. So grab your favorite beverage and join us on today's episode where we tell the story of someone just like you. Hey guys, welcome back to another PaynePoints Podcast episode. Today I am here with Pricila Alvares. Did I say that right?
Yes,
I didn't ask you ahead of time, and then now I'm panicking and wondering if I did it. She has Cila's cleaning service. So Pricila, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself to get us started and how you came up with this concept?
So it actually happened when I was living out in San Francisco. I was working for like a cleaning company, and it had just started up, so I was able to like see it happen
from the beginning.
Yeah, from scratch. She just came with the idea that she wanted to do it, and I kind of just was her assistant helping her do that. But then during the pandemic, I came out here just to spend the pandemic with my family, because we weren't able to do anything. Excuse me. And I was like, why don't I do one here? Like, get something started for my family, because of course I want it to be like a family business, just have them all included. So that's where I actually just kind of copy and pasted everything I learned there and just applied it here. The steps here were a lot simpler than it was in California.
Yeah.
You didn't have to go through like 10 million people. And out there, it probably took me like a 2-week span of getting everything done, because traffic out there is crazy. But here I was able to go back and forth to all the places I needed to go to in one day. So everything was done in one day. The process was long, but it was definitely doable. But we do commercial cleaning. That's what we really do.
Commercial businesses.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We try doing housing, like helping people with their houses and stuff. The only time I'm willing to clean a resident's home is, if it happens to be like a senior citizen that they just can't do it.
Sure.
So that's probably the only time we're willing to do it.
I gotta say, the timing of your business was incredibly apropos, because, we were experiencing a global pandemic, and this was the early stages. And so all these new cleaning measures were being implemented everywhere. And while everyone was closed down, I know that when we closed several of our, businesses, we had to kind of do a retraining of all of our employees. And, hey, we're going to have to start doing this now every single time, and, all these different things. So you starting this business at just the right time seems like a good idea, which, although on some people, hey, starting a business in the middle of a pandemic is very nerve-wracking. But you saw a need, and given the circumstances of the world at the time, was a very appropriate need. So did you find when you were starting out, you said it's a lot easier than in California. I'm sure you meant paperwork and getting your business established, but did you find clients fairly easily?
Clients was really hard because nobody was in the office. Mm-hmm. So that took me a second. So we did end up starting off as residential.
Gotcha.
That's where we did start off, and then we would clean people's houses that did own businesses and small offices, and they're like, okay, as soon as we can go back into the office and start working, I would like you to come and clean the offices. And then I ended up having to leave back to California because I did see more of a growth opportunity there. So I did leave the business I had on here on standby.
Mm-hmm.
But I did come back, and a bunch of the people that did promise me to come and clean their office were still very open to me to come and clean them. So that was really nice. That was very helpful, because I was just like, oh, it's been a while. They probably forgot about me and everything, but they were still very open about it.
That can be a challenge for sure when you pause the business for a little bit. And now, you said you were living out in California. Did you grow up out there? Did you grow up here in Texas or the area?
I was born and raised out here in Lufkin, Texas.
Okay.
But then I did go to California because, I didn't go to college out here. I did attempt to. But the way I view of growing up and learning was a little bit different than just going straight to college. And I'm not saying that, I'm not saying anything bad about going to college right after high school or, getting your degree.
If you've listened to my podcast long enough here, you know that I think that you should do what's necessary for your life path, and that college is not for everybody.
It's not. It wasn't. It really wasn't for me. I attempted to go to college 3 different times in 3 different colleges because I was just thinking maybe it was a system. But in reality, I think it was just me. I just didn't like the process of studying. I'm more of an on-hands learner. I want to kind of like go through like trial and error. That's what I really wanted to go through. There's a lot of errors that happen in California, but that's what I went there for, was just to kind of grow up. I was a little like
finding yourself.
Yes, basically.
Like a gap year, like the Europeans take. You go find out what you want to do, and if college is for you, and you tried it out and it wasn't, and at least you attempted it. My kids have not gone to college, and I don't think they're any less for it, honestly. Given that I know so many people who have graduated and they have this massive debt now, and they're not able to get jobs more than minimum wage, because the system is just very different.
It is very, very different. One of the things I did learn in San Francisco when I was working there, I was constantly working for like big companies, corporate companies, small businesses. I was constantly like administrating those companies. And I would look around, and half of the people that are like higher ups just didn't have a degree. They were like much older, but they had all the experience they needed to like move forward. So I was just, okay, I like that better. It may take me a little bit longer, but I would like to be able to know what's going on, and like learn it from there rather than being taught.
Unless you're going to be a doctor or like an engineer or a lawyer. I really don't know if college actually prepares you for your job.
Please go to college for that.
Yeah.
Please go to college to be a doctor.
Because I feel like so many people who are like, I did a business degree, or I did this, or I did that. And it's like, I went and got a job in that field, and none of what I learned in school actually applied.
So my sister, she was the big person to kind of like smack me in the face with reality. She went to college to get her, like, she's trying to be a vet, and for the longest she was working at offices for vet places. Shout out to her because I always got discounts, thank you. But she ended up having that like urge, that common sense of an urge to like assist the pets, and she just knew what to do. And then when she was this one office, like, hey, like on some certain days, can you come and be a vet tech, basically an assistant to the vet, just giving them the shots that they needed, holding them down, just helping them, like keeping them calm, and just figuring out kind of basically what a nurse does,
sure,
but with dogs. Yeah. And then she really, really liked it, and she was going to college for it, and she just recently stopped because she ended up becoming a vet out there, which is really weird. When you don't have a degree, it's you come here and like no one's gonna give you anything if you don't have a degree. But she was able to be a vet, and then she realized that she didn't like it because it was a bit too slow. She had to constantly keep talking to clients when all she really wanted to do was help animals. So now she works in a lab. She works in a lab and she helps animals. So that kind of like just motivates me. I'm like, okay, I feel a lot better about not going to college.
Yeah, I think people tend to be down on themselves when that's the case. And I think if you have the right motivation and you have the drive, that's not necessary. What did you want to be when you grew up? Like, not everybody's like, I'm going to be a professional cleaner as a job goal. But what did you want to do when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, I wanted to be a motivational spokesperson. I really wanted to motivate people.
Really?
Yes.
not to that's such a bizarre thing for a kid to want to do. Was there something that inspired you?
Yes. So one of my biggest inspiration was I started getting into Eminem, and I really liked his raps, and then I started listening to other rappers. And I was just like, oh, this is like a lot. They just speak about where they came from. There's just so much motivation going on there. Like, it wants you to keep going. And then I realized I could never rap. I just don't have the mind for it. And then I would look into like
So
YouTube.
Really you wanted to be a rapper?
Yes.
Okay. That's awesome.
But then I looked into it and I was like, okay, one thing I could possibly do is just speak to like a group of people and just kind of motivate them. And on YouTube, when I was younger, that's what I look up, was just like motivation speeches. And that's what I listen to now. I'll listen to people coming I'll put my earbuds in, and if I'm ever working out or if I'm just working on a craft, I'll listen to that and just keep me motivated, because I'm like, that's what I wanted to do, but obviously I was not seemed fit for it.
Well, I mean, that may not be your journey right now.
Eventually,
because you're young, so give it another decade, and you'll have a whole lot of life experience behind you, and you can motivate people to do just about anything at that point. That's I mean, not that you can't be young and be a motivational speaker.
Exactly.
I
just don't have enough experience.
But I mean, and maybe that's a good thing, when you meet people who are 20 years old and they've got all this this baggage and all this experience. It's like, you've had to live a hard life up until now. You deserve a break. But that's awesome. Motivational speaker. That is not on my bingo card of list of jobs I would have picked, but I think that's pretty cool, actually. My brother growing up wanted to be a music minister at a church. Like, that's what he wanted.
Nice.
Like, he loves music, and that's what that's whenever we'd play some game or whatever, and we were pretending to be other things, he was always the music minister of a church.
That is so awesome.
It didn't end up doing that, but that's what he wanted to do as a kid, so I think that's pretty hilarious. You were talking about Eminem and rappers inspiring you because of their motivation. Is there anybody else, like anyone in your personal life or any other, say, celebrity who really just kind of makes you sit back and go, that's so inspiring, I want to do that, or they give me the motivation and gumption to keep going forward?
Nowadays, I'm not really inspired by celebrities or anybody that is really out there. The one and true honest person that motivates me every day is most likely my mom. My mom went through some hard stuff, and there's just some things she doesn't tell us, but the things she's happened to slip out, I'm just, whoa, I'll get chills in my back. I'm like, man, you are strong. You are the strongest person. And then one day she told me how she believed her mother, which is my grandmother, was the strongest person she knew. And the way she would talk about my grandmother,
the dogs, I'm sorry,
it's okay,
they want to be a part of the conversation. Anyway, go ahead.
The way she would speak about my grandmother, her eyes were lit up, her heart was pounding, she was out of breath because this strong emotion she felt towards my grandmother, because she just really believed that's her hero. And then I stopped and I'm like, Mom, you know that this feeling you have for grandma right now? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, that is how I feel about you. And it hasn't been the same anymore. She won't stare me in the eye because we're not very affectionate people. So she's just like, ugh, what?
she's averse to compliments.
Yeah.
But at least you've told her that. Because sometimes we go our whole lives and we think that in our head, but we don't say it out loud.
Yes. Yes.
My grandmother, who was kind of a big inspiration in my life, I didn't probably tell her enough while she was living that was an issue. That was the thing for me. She... The way she grew up during the Depression and through World War II and all those things, and the things that she had to live through in her life, and how she got to where she was and never knew how to drive, didn't get to finish school, and was very accomplished in some ways, even without all those things. And so I kind of look back and go, I should have told her more, So the fact that you have told your mom, even if she's averse to the compliments, as I can tend to be sometimes myself, that's good that she did that. She will go to her grave knowing that she was an inspiration to you.
I think they know, though. I think they partially know that, because, I know my sisters will never admit it, but I know I'm a big motivation. That, or it's just my big head. But
it could be both.
I know, they'll never tell me, but I know they're just really proud of the outcome and who I've become than I was younger. I was hothead. I was rebellious. I was very mean when I was a kid, because I didn't understand, especially being first generation American. I just didn't understand why there was just all these complications to growing up when I see other people and they're just living their life. And I'm like, but why? I don't understand why we can't do that.
Yeah, no, I totally get that would be a thing. It's got to be hard, leaving everything behind, and being a parent, bringing your kids to another country and expecting them to live and grow up in a new culture, a new environment. We had a guest, one of our first years we did this format of the podcast, Abu Saeed, and he had moved to Canada and didn't know the language, completely new, but he just wanted to change his life. And, now very successful with a clothing company. But it was rough. It was very rough those first few years. And I can't imagine what that must be like. And it takes a certain amount of fortitude within a person to just be able to do that. So bravo to your parents for
shout out to
them. What do you like to do in your free time? Do you have any hobbies? Do you have anything you enjoy that's not work related?
So for my hobbies, I actually I'm an apprentice to Greg Dominguez. He does leather work here in Lufkin. Mm-hmm. It's called Dead Cow Leather, and I called him one day and I was like, hey, do you happen to be taking any like apprentices, or do you do that? And he's like, yeah, can you come in? I was like, yeah, I can come in. And I come in there for about 5 minutes. He's like, yeah, you could definitely come in. You can come, I'll teach you. And I was like, nice. I was already previously doing leather work, but he has just taught me so much. And I do like working by his side. He does a lot of gun holsters, a lot of like masculine items, that I possibly wouldn't ever think of selling in the future. So it's good because there's just no competition when it comes between me and him. But
you're more on the girly side.
Yeah, I want to make your purses,
keychains.
Keychains.
Gotcha. How long have you been doing that?
I've been Greg's apprentice for about, I want to say 6 months now.
Okay.
But prior to that, I have been working with leather for about 3 years.
Okay.
So I started off, drawing, and then from drawing I went to painting, and after painting I went to like sculpting. But those never really stick. Like once I saw that I could do it, I was just like, all right, I could do it. Let's get that out of here. It's not even hard anymore.
It wasn't a challenge.
Yeah, it wasn't a challenge anymore. So then I got into leather, and every time I did a project, that like the feeling of that fulfillment was ridiculous. It was like a high. I was just like, whoa, this is
great. Is it something you want to turn into a business, or you want to keep it a hobby?
It's a 50-50. So I have started everything I needed to do to make it a business. But then I just think about it and I'm like, do I really want to make my favorite hobby a business and get stressed about it?
I would say no, don't do it. Don't do it. It's a trap.
I will take your advice. This is all I needed was somebody just to tell me, don't do it.
Photography was my biggest love. It was a big hobby. And then I, as a stay-at-home mom, wanted to be able to bring in extra money. And that was a very easy thing to do. I had gone to school for photography, so it just felt like a natural fit. And then after doing it for 15 years, got so burnt out that I haven't picked up a camera in 2 years.
Nice.
So I would say that if you want to keep it as an enjoyable hobby, maybe don't turn it into a business. Or if you do turn it into a business, it's one of those, it's a side thing that whenever you have time do it. Because if you're having to do and crank out things all the time, you're going to lose the joy for it. I'm just telling you now.
That's actually some things Greg has advised me as well. But sometimes I'll sit in my bed and I'll lay down and I'll stare at my ceiling and I'm like, I want to be the next Gucci. I want to be the next Louis Vuitton.
Yeah, but you can be the designer and not the actual leather.
Exactly. So I was just like, okay, there's just ways around that, and I'm just gonna have to wait. I have to just be patient and see what comes.
Yeah, good deal. Do you have anything that you do, any daily habits to like set yourself up for a good mindset every day or for success for that particular day? Because I feel like most entrepreneurs have some little quirk or tick or something that they do that helps them, stay motivated and be successful in life.
So I used to, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I did used to have something like that, but I recently stopped. I recently just my boyfriend recently started living in with me, so I'm just like, oh, thank goodness he can feed the dogs and walk the dogs in the morning. I can just get up a little later and head out the door. That's all I got to do. But I used to take a shower in the mornings and I would listen to some inspiration music. I would meditate while I was in the shower because,
that's a good time to do it.
Yeah,
really.
That is like the best time to do it because, 90% of the chance you're waking up 30 minutes before you have to head out for work. Mm-hmm. So 15 of those minutes is it's taking a shower. So I just put some meditating music and I'll let the steam in. Usually I like to, if it was a night, I would leave the door open, but I'll close the door so that steam is in there and just kind of
wake up.
Yes, wake up and be refreshed. And then I won't dry my hair. I'll literally, I get a lot of bad comments about coming out with my hair being wet. but I'll go out there with my hair being wet, and it just kind of reminds me of like the clean smell, and just like I'll have a tough day and I'll smell my hair. I'm like, oh, okay, it's okay. Everything's gonna be all right.
I think we don't realize how much scent is associated with certain things, emotions and memories and stuff like that. So I mean, it kind of makes sense in a way.
So I remember one time I had this really good friend, and she just thought I was super weird. And then to kind of weird her out even more, I told her, I'm like, man, I just wish I could take you and just put you in a candle. And she's like, what? And I was just like,
that's a little creepy.
But I was just like, it's just because you're so refreshing to smell. Like when I know you're here, I want to hug you and I can like get a scent of you. And I'm just like, okay.
You know what they need to turn into a candle smell? Fabuloso.
Oh my gosh, Pine Sol. I would probably do that with Pine Sol. Fabuloso.
Really? I've not as much as the Pine Sol. The Fabuloso lemon citrus scent is just.
When you start cleaning with it and you just listen to you smell.
I'm sure
it,
probably for you it's like but I have some and I'll mop or clean with it, and I'm just like, my house smells so good right now. This needs to be a candle.
So one time, something that pregnant people didn't let me know is that when you're pregnant and you have this smell that you just like, it just destroys your whole day, it kind of just follows you afterwards. It did that to me. Like, I think I smelled Fabuloso one time when I was cleaning, and it was just the odor just
too much.
And until this day, I'm just fearful, and I'll smell it, and I'm like, it ain't that bad, but I think it's just stamped in my head. Like, no.
So I think the reason why I like it so much is that every time I was pregnant and I have severe morning sickness, citrus scents were the only thing that kept me, like, because I was so sensitive to other smells, and citrus was the only thing that kind of cleansed the palate and kind of took it away.
Whoa.
So it was very necessary. I kept like a fruit, like a citrus fruit in my purse most of the time when I go out in public, and I would like scratch the surface and get the zest going and sniff it. And I probably look like a psychopath, but it helps me from throwing up in public, like especially going into the grocery store and you have the meat counter, and it was just like, so for me, it's a very clean and like it reminds me of not being ill.
Nice. I actually can kind of relate to that. I remember when I was pregnant, I was managing this one restaurant. It was one restaurant, and I come in there, and it's the entrance, and this restaurant's pretty long. It's not really wide, but it's long, and the kitchen is at the very, very end of the restaurant.
And you can still smell it.
Somebody was cutting lemons. I come in, and I'm just like, there's lemons in here. Who's cutting lemons? And I thought it was probably the bartender. And then he's just like, no. I'm like, where are the lemons? I can smell them. And then I walk all the way to the back, and then I see the chef just chopping up the lemons. And I'm like, oh, that smells so delightful.
Yeah, it's definitely helpful for sure. All right. Well, we've got these rapid fire questions that we do kind of in the middle of the interview, and you just answer as quickly as possible.
Okay. Oh, my goodness.
What's on the top of your brain? We already did this during the sound check, but what did you have for breakfast?
I'd had the summer edition Red Bull.
Do you drink coffee, and if so, how do you take it?
I drink coffee, and I will take it with a very, very light hint of sugar and some creamer.
Good deal. What is your favorite song right now?
Right now is Doses and Mimosas. I forgot who made the song. But right now it's my favorite. I actually listened to it on the way up here.
Nice. Are you currently watching a TV show? And if so, which one?
Oh my goodness. I've been watching Ozark.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard a lot about that. I think I tried to start that. Wasn't in the right frame of mind. So I'll have to come back to that one. What is your favorite book?
My favorite book right now, it's The Art and Zen of... what's it called?
Motorcycle Maintenance?
Yes.
It's a good one.
It's a good one.
Favorite flavor of ice cream?
It has to be butter pecan.
Ooh. Coke or Pepsi?
Dr. Pepper.
Nice. Sweet or salty?
Salty.
Beach or mountains?
I've never been to the mountains, and I don't really like the beach, so I'm going to go with the mountains.
Okay. What's your zodiac sign?
My zodiac sign is an Aries.
Okay. Spring, summer, winter, or fall?
I used to be a spring person, but now I'm definitely a winter. This heat is no game.
It is brutal right now. Introvert or extrovert?
I'm a little bit of both. I'm an introvert, when I can be, but an extrovert when I have to be, but I'm good at it.
Yeah, I feel the same. What's your favorite color?
My favorite color, of course, is red.
Good deal. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
A hot dog is a cheap version of a sandwich.
Nice. I don't think we've ever had anybody say that. And what is your favorite social media platform?
My favorite social media platform would be Instagram.
Instagram. I agree. Okay, well, let's get a little bit into the actual nitty gritty of starting your business.
Ooh.
When you decided, when you came from California, you were going to do this, what was one of the first steps that you took?
Was going into Google and be like, okay, what do you need to do in Texas to start a business? And then Google doesn't tell you everything either. You're going to have to go make the drive and get it started. And then the people at the courthouse will tell you what you're missing.
Were there any questions that you asked when you went in to get your DBA or LLC?
There really wasn't any questions. I kind of just read off what Google did.
And they directed you accordingly.
Yeah, but I already kind of knew what needed to be done, honestly. So it was just more as in like, what are the different laws of that California has in Texas? What do you need to be able to do this or do that? California, they want you to give it arm and leg, for that information. So I was lucky enough to get that information, because then I just came here and then I took the information and I searched up on Google and I'm like, okay, everything seems to be matching up. But there's a lot less things to do for Texas out here.
Yeah, they have a lot. They tend to be easier.
Yeah.
When it comes to things like that. Did you need any kind of like liability insurance or anything like
that?
I
did. Some companies did request it. A lot of companies didn't request it as a shock, but I did have it anyway. So I was just like, all right.
I would think that if you're going to go into anyone's business at any point, that would be the one thing you would definitely have.
And then like one problem I did have an issue with was that a bunch of people tried paying under the table, and I'm like, nah. I actually saw a business get caught up in California because of that. So no, please.
I don't understand why you would want to do that, because you get to write it off as an expense, or partially.
I always get confused, like, why? It just doesn't make sense. Like, just do it.
I mean, I guess. I've seen both sides of it, but yeah, definitely would not want to do that. When you were starting your business, did you turn to anyone for advice? Did you reach out to your, the company in California and ask some, questions, or did you just like, I'm just going to power through and do it?
I powered through and I did it. I did have this one good friend that kind of made me realize that I do like doing apartment complexes. I currently live in this one apartment complex, and she just happens to be she just helps manage the office there, and she's like, hey, do you still have your cleaning business? And this is right when I came back, and I was just like, yeah, I do actually. And she's just like, do you think you can come and clean the apartment? And at this time I was recovering from like this harsh moment that I went through. I was recovering, so it was just, and I was like, I don't want to do anything for the rest of my life. And then she just kind of hit me with that, and then my brain just like automatically was like, okay, we got to get this done right now. So she just kind of like, I need insurance, I need this, I need that. And I'm like,
so it kind of motivated you to get all those things in place.
Yes.
Now you said that your family, it's a family business, and they help you. So I'm guessing that the work gets distributed between you all to do these different businesses.
Yes.
Or do you all go together and clean? How does that work?
We all go together and clean.
Get it knocked out?
Yes, because we're just that type of people. We're like, all right, we're getting it all knocked out, because my mom, my dad, they both have day jobs, and I do as well. So usually we'll be cleaning at night. We'll be up there like at 12 o'clock in the morning, or at midnight, till like 2 o'clock. And we're just,
a lot of businesses though prefer you to either come in before they open or after they close.
Exactly.
So I mean, that's like, ideal.
Perfect. I always think that's perfect, because I'll let them know too. I'm like, hey, we're probably going to be here late at night. And so, well, what do you want from us? I'm like, do you have keys?
Yeah. Besides getting the word out and developing clientele, because that is really probably one of the biggest challenges in something like this. With any kind of business where you're a hairstylist or a nail tech, or you're cleaning, or any kind of service-oriented business where you have to gather clients, that's the biggest thing. Was yours more word of mouth, or did you utilize any kind of tools or advertising to kind of get your name out there?
So a bunch of it was word of mouth, and the other part is that I'm very like straightforward and very open. I would always just let people know, like, hey, I just started this business here. Let me know your budget, and we can accommodate to your budget. Of course, you have those people that are trying to lowball you and just,
sure.
trying to get the most out of you. But, those are just the things you have to go through.
Those aren't clients you really want? If you're going to have to jump through.
Exactly.
I mean, it's here at the tattoo shop, you know, when you get somebody to come in who's kind of being a little bit of a pill about things, it's kind of like, well, maybe we're not your best fit. Exactly. So you should go try these places.
And then that's what it really, like recently I did lose a contract for the simple fact that, you know, we agreed to a price and we agreed to the cleaning that price, you know, was worth.
Right.
But then we're constantly getting like corrected with this cleaning, or we were constantly getting it added on, but they didn't want to pay, you know, the extra amount of having to go back and do this and do that. But we had to separate. We had to leave that contract because it was just like, we're not your best fit with the price you guys are wanting to pay.
You know, do you have it broken down into like packages or different like tier levels? And how do you combat something like that for the future? What have you?
So from now on, this contract was usually because they were a close friend and I was only willing to like accommodate to that. It did lose a little bit integrity of the business, and I learned that the hard way. I was like, oh, okay, it was a learning lesson.
Working for friends and family when it comes to stuff like that,
it's tough.
Probably not the best idea.
No, I learned that from now on. It's just like keep it business
with
and then
strangers.
Yes. But I'm sorry, I forgot your question.
Do you have it broken down into like tiers or packages so that you can avoid these kinds of things in the future?
I was always thrown off to why people charge hourly. That just didn't make any sense to me. Like, what are they getting with that hour? Like, what? Usually, it's to me, I charge square feet. How big your building is, and then what you're wanting. So if you're wanting, you know, that deep extra cleaning, you want to come in here and it looks like a new place, it would be higher cents per square feet. But if you wanted just that basic cleaning, you know, we're coming, you know, every once a week, then there's not that much to clean. So there's no point of charging you that extra amount of cleaning.
So you're saying that there's like a base level of services, basically.
Yes.
Charged by square footage.
Yes.
And then if you want anything on top of the base level services, it's an extra charge.
Yeah, like
I mean, that seems common sense.
Yeah, my dad has always been a handyman. He's gone to school to be he's been certified to be an electrician, so he knows how to do a little bit of electrical work. We do carpet cleaning, so I do have on
so you have several wings of
so I'm like I call it Handyman Express.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean that, and there's several things that I'm like, man, I wish I had this skill and I don't, and I need to find somebody who does, you know. So that's nice that your business incorporates all of those things. What would you say would be what has this business taught you about yourself? Because I imagine when you're young and you've started a new business that there's a lot of learning that goes on. But what have you learned about yourself as a person that you would care to share with the rest of us?
That I am not as cool, calm, and collected as I thought I was. There's just, I remember that I was handling a bunch of contracts at once, and people can just look at me and they're just like, oh my gosh, you're stressed. So I had that, and I had my main job, and I also had that apprenticeship. So it was just, there was just so much going on, and I was like, okay, I obviously cannot handle as much as I can. But luckily I found someone to assist me with that, and I'm like, oh man, that helps a lot. But it came to realize that I still have a lot to work on staying calm and listening to everything I need to listen to, and just paying attention. There's so much that can go wrong if you just don't pay attention. And then I also learned that everything needs to go on paper, everything. Staying
organized is a big factor in running a business, because then you won't maybe run into some of these like chaotic moments. And it's something, it sounds like you're learning. If you're not a very organized person, as my husband is not, sometimes you have to hire people who are, in order to help you stay organized with whose business we're cleaning today, and you know what cycle they're on versus business B over here who's on a different cycle with a different pay rate. That can be a lot of information to try to keep.
It's hard
in the head.
It's hard because, you know, you have to, like my mom, she wants to like do some more of a cleaning than she has to on some of the cleanings, and I'm like, look Mom, they're only paying for the bronze subscription. They only subscribe to the bronze plan. They didn't get that premium plan. We can only do the bronze one. Okay,
I was gonna ask, how is, you know, when I get to cleaning on something, I'm just gonna go to town, right? And to hold back because they only paid for a certain service
exactly
would be difficult.
It's hard because if you do it once, they're gonna expect it every time. And I was just like, no, we didn't do that last time. Don't just start doing it now.
Right. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that would be difficult. I mean, it would also run me into the ground, but it would be difficult not to do that. What do you enjoy about this business? What is something that brings you joy?
how close it brought everyone in my family. It's brought us all together, and we kind of like, it made me realize how well as a family we function. I was just like, all right, I'll come in there and I come here with the game plan. I'm like, Dad, you take care of the windows. Mom, you take care of the bathrooms, and I'm going to go ahead and start the floor. And they're just like, all right, break. And then we all just start what we need to do. Sometimes my sister is there, and, you know, I'll give her the easy stuff, you know, go dust the fans, just get out of my hair, please. But everybody else is just like, they just have, I'm like, and then I come to realize, like, that's where my mentality comes from. That's where, like, my teamwork comes from. I can work really well with a team, and it's from them because they obviously can work with a team. So
it's not always easy to work with family. In fact, it's one of the most challenging things you'll find in small business is, you know, and a lot of families do work together, and, you know, you figure out a way to make it work. And it sounds like you guys work and blend well together. That's not always the case. Is there anything that you guys do? Do you keep work separate and only talk about work at work? Or is there any like tips and tricks you want to give out?
So I tend to be very dramatic about things. So after we go through something, we'll be in the car, and I'm like, I can't believe this and that, and I'll start, you know, getting like a little bit heated up. Anybody else would be like, you need to calm down. But my mom was just like, she'll be talking to me in a calm voice, but she still allows me to talk so loudly, and she just doesn't make me feel bad about it. But then she understands me. She understands that, like, I'm just speaking out of like the heat of the moment, or I'm just like really upset or something, or it's
not directed at them. It's
just,
okay.
But I can also go. My mom does get a little offensive because, I mean, I was trained to clean. I was trained to clean residential homes or final clean outs or like offices and stuff. I was trained in California to go do those cleanings, because when we didn't have a cleaner to go do it, I had to go and jump in and fill the spot. But I'll go and look at her cleaning. I'll go and check out. I'm like, Mom, did you dust this?
Oh, no.
Because it doesn't look dust. And she's like, what do you mean? It's dusted. I did my cleaning. And she gets a little butthurt, but then she's just like, sorry. I was like, it's all right.
That's probably the biggest challenge, is when you have a child that's the boss and your parents working. You know, it's a little more common for the parent to be in charge and the child to be working, but like that would be a different level, like an added layer there.
A lot of people, a lot of people get confused because, like, is your mom that owns the business, or is it you? I'm like, look, man, I'm just the face of the business. It's secretly my mom with the brains. But she just kind of guides me of what I need to do. She's been doing cleanings all her life as well, so she kind of knows what needs to be done. And like, so I'll like go back to her. I'm like, hey Mom, what do you think about it? So we'll brainstorm together basically. But I'll never try and make any decisions without her, because I mean, I can be a little impulsive sometimes. So it's just like, all right, let me hold off. Let me speak to my, you know, my team member and see what they say.
Yeah. I think that's good. I think it sounds like you guys have a good working relationship, and that's not always the case. And so it sounds like it's working out for you. If there's anyone else that's out there that would be interested in starting their own business, whether it be a cleaning business or anything else, is there any kind of advice or something that you wish someone had told you in the beginning that you would impart to others?
Connections is so important with everything. I wouldn't be this far if it wasn't for the connections I've had. It's important to be social. It's important to be a people person. It's just very important to like know and what to say to people. But you know, in the most nicest way, like not the nicest way, but in the most beneficial way for both parties. But that's one of the important things I do want to let people know is start making your connections now. Start making, start doing things for people that you would wish they would do for you, because later on in life that would pay back. Even if it's not with the same person, later off in life, you will get what you give out, you know. It doesn't have to be like that exact same person. You don't gotta expect it from them, but eventually life will give you someone else that will fulfill that. I
feel like that's a pretty good outlook there, and good advice for anyone who's, you know, getting started. Connections are very important. What would you say that the future holds for your business? I mean, you said you got a few little different, you know, handyman type stuff. What you want to add on some services or expand your crew? What's that look like?
I eventually want to do pressure washing, but I do have a good friend that just started their pressure washing business, so
maybe y'all could team up.
That's what I was thinking. But I just don't know. I've been thinking about it, but I'm just gonna wait and hold off and see how we both do independently, and maybe I'll come up to them. But I do want to do want to offer pressure washing, because like, why not? I mean, we take care of, you know, buildings, we might as well add that. But I just don't know if, you know, they do residentials, do they do this, do they like do their contracts in this way, how do they go about it, their business. So maybe I could get like a one-on-one with them, that, or maybe they're willing to kind of give me advice on how to go forward with that. So we'll see.
Pressure washing is very satisfying, so I'd say yes, definitely try to do that. And I need that on my house currently. Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, anytime you're going to add on services or expand your business in any way, that's always a promising and exciting time. Why don't you tell everyone who's listening where they can find you online or how to get in touch with you?
So I do have a Facebook. It's called Cila's Cleaning Crew.
And we'll have all of this linked in the episode.
Perfect. It's a little dry right now. I did just start it off. I didn't realize how important social media was until I went to an event, and I'm like, oh man, they got Instagram too, Snapchat, darn it.
Yeah.
And I also, you can always reach me at my email, which is cilascleaningcrew@gmail.com. So it's CILA and then cleaningcrew@gmail.com. That's usually where I do all business, is my form of communication. We also do have a business phone number just directly for that. I'm pretty sure you're going to put that in the link. I'm not sure.
We can definitely put all this information. Do you have a physical location, or are you working out of your house?
Right now, I do have I'm working from my apartment. I do have a 2-bedroom apartment, and one of the rooms is my office.
Gotcha.
So that's just where I like have my laptop and everything. I sit at and just do my stuff.
Gotcha. Yep. I mean, some people do, some people don't, but yeah. Well, Cila, thanks so much for coming and talking to us about your business. So we have not had a cleaner on so far. So I like having all aspects and hearing everyone's experience. So thanks for sharing your story with us. Yeah. And we hope everybody enjoyed it. And again, if you need a commercial cleaner, you should get in touch with Cila and all of her crew. Again, thanks for joining us, and we catch you guys the next time.
Of course. Thank you.
Do you have a story to tell? We want to hear it. If you'd like to be a guest on our podcast and share your story, contact us on our website at PaynePoints.com or any of the social media linked on our website. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. We'd appreciate a review, a like, or a comment to let us know what you think. You can find all of our podcasts linked on our website under the podcast tab. Once again, thanks for joining us, and we want to wish everybody a wonderful day.